I asked my community on Discord to give me a random word. Any word, within reason. And they gave me Ladybug, Pancake, Hedgehog, and Sonder. So today, we're gonna make a pixel art drawing out of these 4 words with my little characters. Let's jump into it. Hey, my name is Jade, and I like to paint with pixels. So, looking at these words, I was immediately drawn to basing it around pancakes, and having the gang sort of dotted around a big stack of pancakes. I made a little reference board, which made me incredibly hungry, and got to sketching out the composition. Initially, I had a bit of trouble figuring out the perspective of the table and the pancakes, so I actually ended up making a mini 3D mockup in Unity. One day, I will learn Blender, but it's not today. I've done this before for a different video and found that it helps me visualize certain perspectives a bit better, and also helped me experiment with different compositions as well. I reused one of the desks from my Twitch scene as a base, and I blocked out a very simple stack of pancakes on a plate with a tablecloth near the edge of the table, using basic cylinders and boxes. I ended up keeping the plant in the background to balance out the composition, and it actually became very useful later on. Once I was happy with the shot, I jumped into Pixquare, which is the drawing app that I use on my iPad. To start, I sketched out the general shape from the reference we just made, separating out different elements like the tablecloth to the table, and the pancakes with their own colors so that it's easier to read what's going on. I've recently found a really useful workflow for posing my characters. I have this base character that I've been building up a library of poses for, that I can drag and drop into my work. Even if I don't have the exact pose, it's much easier and quicker to adjust an existing one. I can then use this grid of faces looking in different directions to copy and paste what I need over the top of the character base. This helps me keep them in proportion and helps me understand the scale of the surrounding space as well. It's been super useful for not only illustrations, but also animations for both my Twitch channel and whole video projects like mixing my characters in real life videos. For the word Ladybug, I made a new character to join the crew. I'd like to think that she was invited by either Daisy the bee or Lily the frog, and that they're good buddies. I wanted to tell some little stories of what was happening in the piece as well. I mentioned before that the plant in the background would be useful later, and surprisingly, it helped me with the word Sonder. I had to look up what Sonder meant. Apologies for who suggested it in the Discord. My vocab isn't the best. But for anyone else who doesn't know, Sonder is the feeling one has when realizing that every other individual one sees has a life full and real as one's own, in which they are the central character, and others, including oneself, have secondary or insignificant roles in their lives. A very different vibe to the word pancakes. But it was a fun challenge to figure out how to mix these words together. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure how to capture the expression for someone deep in Sonder, but I thought it would be sort of like being deep in thought. And that's where the plant comes in. I added a little ladybug on the closest leaf and positioned it so that our new ladybug friend was deep in thought while looking at it. Probably thinking, do they have their own little friendship group where they go and eat pancakes together? I don't know, I thought it was cute. It was the best idea I had for Sonder, so I think we can take it off as done. I also had Lulu the bunny climb up to the top of the pancake stack just to check in on them and make sure that they're okay. At the bottom of the pancake, it has its own story going on. Daisy and Lily are eating tiny plates of pancakes, but then Daisy is shocked as she looks across to see Fern has somehow managed to grab a big chunk of the pancake with a giant fork. She might need help getting it to her plate, but that's for another illustration to figure that out. I didn't want to just create new characters for the prompts. It felt like it would be an easy way out if I did that for all of them, at least the ones that made sense too. So for Hedgehog, I ended up making a cute little cross-stitch pattern on the tablecloth. Making this made me want to try cross-stitch in real life, as if I don't have enough hobbies to juggle. But I really enjoy crafts like crocheting and knitting, so I feel like it would fit in well. Might be something to explore in a future video. Let me know if you want to see that. One thing I was struggling with was the color of the background for this piece. My first choices felt like they washed out the rest of the piece, and then made all the other colors feel a bit muted. I feel like there's some color theory wizardry going on that I don't understand yet. But I settled for a nice blue in the end, though you'll have to bear with the intermittent color swaps throughout the time lapse. For the pancakes, I had a big debate in my head of what toppings to include. It may not be my personal favorite, which is bananas and chocolate, but it worked best for the piece and the general color scheme that I had. Though looking back at it now, I think berries could have been a really good pop of color to add to this. What's your favorite pancake topping? let me know in the comments. For the golden syrup on the pancakes, I played around with different blend modes to try and get the translucent effect. I found that color burn worked quite well, which I've never used before, but I couldn't quite get the colors right at first. It felt like they were really intense as opposed to the rest of the palette. I ended up adjusting some of the colors, especially on the pancakes, to be a little bit more saturated. And I think with this, and once I rendered out the plants in the background, it felt a bit more balanced overall. With a couple of adjustments, here is the final result. This was a really fun challenge to do, and it was nice to have a bit of collaboration with the community on this piece. I'd love to do something like this again. Maybe next time I'll use some comments from this video. Who knows? But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy drawing challenges, check out this video here, where we draw landscapes, but the size of the canvas is random each time. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care out there. Goodbye!